welcome back to my channel. This is episode number 3 of my knitting podcast. If you are a new viewer, welcome. My name is Jingyi, and this is a channel where I share about my crafty hobbies and mostly knitting at this point. And this is a monthly podcast episode where I share about what I've been finished in the last months, and I'll also be sharing some of the projects that's in progress right now. So I'm very happy today because I've been very productive in terms of knitting in the past month. So I have 3 or 2.5 finished objects to show you guys, and one of them you haven't seen it in the last episode. So let's dive right into the knitting content. I will start with what I'm wearing today. This is my Levitate wrap. It's a design by my favorite things knitwear. The design came out earlier this year. I think it came out in spring, and it's a contribution to Qiviuk Breeze collection. I started knitting on this piece as soon as the pattern released because I was so drawn into the model's picture, and I really love the wrap design. So it's a wrap cardigan, v-neck, and it has extra long sleeves, and the body is cropped and boxy. And I recently realized that I made a mistake in the ribbing part. So it has all the ribbing and the edges in double knitting, which I really enjoy. But I realized I made a mistake. I think for the left side, you shouldn't attach the ribbing at the edge of the panel, but instead the ribbing should be coming out from the side. So you should have a ribbing coming out from this part. But for me, both of my ribbings are attached to the edge, and I've been wearing this weirdly for the last couple of months. I realized this is totally wrong when I was watching May's video from String Things by May, and she had a video clip of how she wear the Levitate wrap, and I was like, it's totally different from mine. So I should take the ribbing off and probably fix it. But I really love this. So I use Queensland Coal Lark with a strand of Qiviuk mohair to knit this piece. So it's different from what the pattern calls for. The pattern was calling for, I forgot, but it's very different fiber content. So I still have some yarn left. This is the combination that I use. It was my first time using the Qiviuk silk mohair. It's very soft, and it's probably softer than the Senescar thin silk mohair. And I found this shed quite a lot. I would find a lot of mohair fibers on my leggings if I'm wearing them together, but it definitely created a very soft and drapey fabric that I really like. So that's my Levitate wrap, and I will show you my first finished object. It's still drying, so I will grab it. So here's my first finished object. This is the season's cardigan. It's just drying over there, and I haven't weaving any of the ends yet because I normally weaving the ends after blocking so that the strand will not come out after the stitches are kind of loose. Yeah, I think I will put it on. It's kind of damp on the sleeve, but let me try. So I just put it on. It's quite wet on the sleeve side. I really like the fit. What do you think? So this is the season's cardigan, and it's designed by Ozetta. I believe it's her very first cardigan design, and there's an oversized version of it. Even though it's a very early design of her, I still see many people knitting this right now. I know Jenny from Slow Knit is currently knitting on this, and I think I also saw Oh, Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady YouTube channel is also knitting on hers, but she was knitting on the oversized version. Yeah, so I'm amazed that I can finish this in a month. I knit a size extra small, but I kind of use the stitch count for extra small to achieve the measurement for a size small, because I had some gauge issue. I was having a hard time meeting the stitch count gauge, and I was asking for help in my last episode. Thank you so much for leaving those comments. It's very helpful for me. So my stitch gauge was way off. I tried both US size 7 and US size 9 in this half fisherman rib stitch pattern, but I couldn't hit the gauge. So I ended up using US size 8 because the row gauge is kind of the same, and I adjust the stitch count by using the stitch count from extra small, and it turns out perfectly, you know. I really like it. So it's a top-down raglan cardigan in half fisherman's rib stitch pattern, and the highlight of this pattern is that the button band is worked at the same time as the rest of the body. So I think last time I showed you guys, I was just starting at the button band in the back, and it was kind of fiddly at the start point because you have double pointed needles on the button band, and I was also using some interchangeable needles for the body. So it was a lot going on, and in a very small scale at the start. But once you start the increase along the raglan side, it just becomes much easier. So I really like this pattern. It's very classic, vintage looking, and it was my first time knitting the half fisherman's rib. It kind of gives a very neat and clean look to the finishing fabric. But the downside is the half fisherman rib grows so slow. I think this is a worsted yarn that I use, but it's much slower because every other row you are knitting to the row below, so you need double of the effort to grow the same amount of length, if that makes sense. But I'm still amazed that I finished this in a month. Like normally larger pieces will take me longer time. No, that's a lie. I think I finished my Levitate wrap in a month as well. I guess I just really want the finished object, so I kind of rush through it and knit on it whenever I can. So another note on the pattern is that, as I mentioned, the button band is worked at the same time as the rest of the body. I think there are pros and cons on this way. As I said, you kind of always have double pointed needles on you, and I don't really like to work with double pointed needles, especially in the car. You kind of have too many pointy ends and you might hurt yourself. And the other drawback is that it's hard to adjust the length of the body, because when you are working on the button band, you kind of already decide where the button's going to be. And I think the pattern gives you a fixed number of rows in between of the button bands, and when you start the ribbing, you are on your last buttonhole. It's kind of hard to make another buttonhole. Technically you can knit the body a little bit longer and then squeeze in another buttonhole, but it's just hard to do those small adjustments. So I think the length is okay on me. I like to wear things a little bit cropped, but it's a note for you if you like to adjust the length as you go. I have to say that I really like the way that button band is working together, because it's less finishing work, right? You don't need to pick up stitches and knit the ribbing at the end. I don't really like to pick up stitches, and I also think the horizontal ribbing looks much better than the vertical ribbing. So if you need to pick up stitches in the end, you kind of work your ribbing like this, and most of the time the pattern calls for like vertical ribbing. And I found that with those cardigans, when you put on the buttons and those horizontal ribbings kind of get pulled apart, and it's not really good looking. So I really like the vertical ribbing. And I haven't mentioned the yarn that I use. I use the Moon Spinner 2-ply by Custom Woolen Mills. It's the yarn that I got from Calgary when I visited Canada this summer. So when I bought this yarn, I was thinking about this cardigan. And it's so good to finally have the finished object. And I really like the color. It's kind of gray and brown heather together. I think the yarn really fits Ozetta's design. I noticed that she uses a lot of the heathered colorways, and they all seem kind of rustic. So I really love this yarn and love the finished object. So it's rustic but still kind of soft on my skin. I don't have very sensitive skins, maybe only on the neck part. And this yarn is very affordable. Every hank is 12 Canadian dollars. And I used 5 hank for my cardigan. So it's definitely more affordable than a cardigan that use a lot of the easier mohair. And I really like a cardigan without mohair. I think I mentioned that all of the cardigan that I knit so far has mohair in it. And I kind of don't like the way that mohair sheds everywhere that I go. So this cardigan is my mohair break cardigan. I guess I will knit more of this. So one other note about the yarn is that I noticed there are a lot of knots in each hank. I would say maybe 3 knots per hank. For me, I would just ignore the knot and continue knitting it, but still try to hide the knots at the back of the fabric. But you know, it's still kind of annoying. So that's the only downside for this yarn. But I guess that will not stop me from buying more of the custom woolen mill yarns. Oh, and I forgot to mention the sleeve decrease issue that I ran into. I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but my 2 sleeves are different. So the first difference is the cuff. My left cuff is 5 centimeters and my right is 8. So I finished my left sleeve first, and there are a couple of things that I didn't like, and I kind of modify it and make the right sleeve better. So I think the first issue is with the decrease. I follow the pattern for the decrease on the first sleeve, where I need to decrease every 35 rounds. So I think the first decrease was over here. That gave me a lot of room near the armhole. And I noticed that until I'm reaching the end of the sleeve, and I have to do multiple decreases near the end. So my left sleeve is kind of a balloon shape, and I modified that on my right sleeve, where I decrease every 10 rounds. That gave me a more even decrease rate, and I knitted the cuff longer according to the pattern, and that fit me really well. So I don't think I will go back and fix the decrease issue, because that almost means I need to rip back the whole sleeve. I'm not gonna do that. No one will notice it, right? But I will definitely knit more on the cuff, because I really like the longer cuff. So I think in general this is a great pattern. There are a couple of step-by-step photos attached to show you how to start on the button band, and almost every step you can find a corresponding video. So I think if you are an ambitious beginner knitter, you can give it a try. You will definitely find a lot of help reading this pattern, but I won't recommend it to like really beginner. If this is your first cardigan, I don't think the pattern is for you. But if you've been knitting for quite a long time and you want to try something new, you can definitely use this pattern. Yeah, so I will take this off because it's really wet on the sleeve. So before I put on my Levitate wrap, I will show you my next finished object, because I don't think the color really matches. So I think you've already seen it if you watch my episode number 2. This is the I Love Stripe Bandana. I knit this with Qiviuk by Windy Valley Muskox, and it's another yarn that I got from Canada. So in the last episode, my issue is that the finish length is much less than what I expected. So I knit the size medium, which is the largest size in the pattern, and it says it should finish with 100 centimeters, but my finished measurement was only around 80 centimeters. And I did a lot of things to stretch it out when blocking, and I learned many great tips from the comments of the last episode. I think I took off the original I-cord bind off and did a looser bind off, and then I blocked it again, but it was still a little bit small. So I took off the I-cord bind off and did an extra stripe repeat. I used 4mm needle for the I-cord bind off this time, so it's even looser. So I haven't blocked since I did the extra repeat, but I think I like the length more right now. So I can wear it like this, tie a knot in the front. So I never had a bandana before, so I have to learn how I can wear it. So I think I like it this way. And the yarn is just super soft. It's definitely softer than cashmere. So Qiviuk is the very fine undercoat for Muskox, and Muskox is only found in the Arctic Circle. According to the yarn band, it says the Qiviuk yarn is more luxurious and softer than cashmere. I would say that's true. When I was knitting on this, I feel like the fabric was almost going to melt in my hand. Yeah, I think I said the exact same thing in the last episode, but it just feels so nice when wearing it around the neck, and you can use it as headband as well. But I guess for me, I would just wrap around my neck. This was originally made for my mom, so I'm on the gift knitting train because I'm going back to my hometown in China in December, and I haven't seen my grandparents for 3 years and haven't seen my parents and my sister for 1 year. So when I'm in China, I want to knit them something and gift it to them. So this was originally the knit for my mom, but she doesn't really like the color combinations, so I will just keep it to myself. I think I really like this bandana. Yeah, so that's why I said I have 2.5 finished object, because technically I've finished this last episode, but I just improve it a little bit. So this needs a good block, the third time blocking it, and I will enjoy it in the winter. It's a bit cold in Northern California, so I didn't work much on my Friday tee because the weather just become really cold, and I'm not in the mood for knitting a short sleeve t-shirt anymore. So I didn't make much progress on the Friday tee. So I guess the Friday tee will be hibernating, and I will take it out in the spring. So the third finished object is this. This is the Baa-ble tee, and the designer is Donna Smith. This is a colorwork fell out design with a round of sheep motif around it. The pattern originally, I think, was a free pattern during the 2015 Shetland Wool Week, but now you can purchase it on Ravelry. And I knit this for my sister. I hope my sister is not watching this. I want to keep it as a surprise for her. I knit this because her animal zodiac sign is sheep. That's super cute. So I just think the colorwork motif is very cute and suitable for my sister. So the original pattern only have the measurement for adult, but the designer have a personal blog of modifying the stitch pattern to child. So there are two sizes, extra small and small. My sister's head measurement was around 50 centimeters, so the child small is a good fit for her. The yarn that I use is Woolstok Worsted by Blue Sky Fiber. It's 100% fine Highland wool. It's very soft. It looks kind of rustic, but it's actually very soft. So the only modification that I did was I modified the brim to be double folded. I don't really like the look of single brim, and I don't think that's warm enough. Since I knit my boyfriend the main woods hat where I knit the double brim and stitch it together, it's a really neat way for the brim of a hat, especially for kids who are careless about their hat and the way they fold it. So stitch it together is a good idea, and I like this pattern so much. The color work is really addictive. I think I knit this in 3 nights maybe. So in general, this is a great pattern. I think it's great for beginner if you want to try out color work, because you knit with at most 2 strands of the yarn at the same time. So it's a simple and great pattern if you want to learn color work. So technically this hat is not finished yet. You still need to add a pom-pom at the top. But I think I will bring the hat along with the yarn that I used back to China, and I will make a pom-pom together with my sister. I think she will like it. So this hand knit piece will have a touch of her as well. And when I finished the hat, I was FaceTiming with my mom, and she loved this pattern so much, and she asked one for her as well. So I immediately cast on the second hat for my mom. I'm using the same dark blue yarn as the bottom of this hat as well. I think I will change the top color with this yarn. This is the Queen's & Co. Lark, which I used for this Levitate wrap. You can see I have a lot of blue yarn. And the reason is I think the light blue yarn doesn't have a strong contrast with the white. So I think I will replace it with this blue, and they will still have some contrast, but this blue will show off the white more. So here's my second work in progress. This is the Magic Toadstool sock by Stone Knit, and I just finished the first one, and I have a little bit of the second sock getting started. This is again a color work pattern. For some reason, I just want to knit a lot of color work this winter. Kind of getting tired of some plain stockinette patterns. So yeah, I think I want to add some color to my wardrobe. I knit the size small with 64 stitches. So most of the yarn that I use for the socks are from my stash that I bought from 3 years ago. So I couldn't tell you the yarn information anymore. But the red was from Taylor Swift Eras Tour collection by Sewrella Yarn. I really like this color because it's a little variegation in the red. It's their classic nylon sock. I knit this whole sock using magic loop method. I talked about in my last episode that I'm looking for a new way to knit the whole sock in the car without the double pointed needles, because I hurt myself once with my very long double pointed needles. So many of you commented in my last episode to suggest me to use the magic loop method. So I did try. I knit the whole sock with magic loop, and I really like the method. Like, you don't need to switch different needles to complete the heel or the toe. But I have some issue with the color work in magic loop. I think my tip is don't try 2 new things at the same time. It was my first time knitting color work in a very small gauge, and also my first time using magic loop. The first trial was not successful because I have some tension issues. The color work section was very tight. I couldn't put my foot through. So this is my second trial. You can still see the stitches are kind of uneven. Maybe it will get better after blocking. But I think for the second sock, I will definitely use the 9-inch circular for the colorwork section. But I guess from now on, I will always use the magic loop for heels and toes. I think I also saw a comment saying you can also use 9-inch circular for the heels. I haven't tried, I'm not sure if that's a bit fiddly on a very small set of needles, but I'll give it a try. So that's my magic toadstool sock. My second work in progress is also a pair of sock, which is a very simple vanilla sock that I'm knitting for my grandpa. Again, the contrast heel and cuff is from my stash yarn, the same yarn that I use for the body of the colorwork sock, so I don't have the information anymore. But this main yarn is from Qiviuk Fingering by Circus Tonic Handmade Australia, and it's a very pretty hand-dye yarn with 50% of yak content in it, and I think it's a great match with the grayish, or I think it's a great match with the contrast color that I pick. Yeah, and I'm also using the stitch marker that I made myself. And here is another stitch marker that I made. I pick up the materials from Michael's, and it's really fun to make stitch markers, and I can pick the colors of the stones that matches with my project. So blue matches with blue, and the light pink and white matches with the beige. Yep, so I think that's everything I'm going to share today. I don't have any acquisitions. I did place some order, like I placed the order for the Mood Advent Calendar. It's kind of a mystery knit along. Well, I don't have the pattern yet. I think we're going to knit a slipover or a vest with Mood colorwork motif on it, which I'm very excited about. There are 4 different colors of the yarns in the Advent Calendar package, and you're going to open one each week, and I think there will be corresponding pattern releases for that week as well. So I've never participated in a mystery knit along before, nor placed the order for Advent Calendar, so I'm very excited for this order. So I think that's everything I'm going to share in this episode. I hope you are enjoying whatever you are knitting on, and please leave a comment down below to let me know what you are working on right now. It just gives me so much joy and will inspire other people as well. And wish you are enjoying the weather, and happy knitting!